Hello, grade 7 students. This is a new mathematics session. It is in semester 2, the academic year 2020-2021. And this is lecture 5, which is the title, Multiplication and Division of Signed Numbers. Of course, in a previous session, we studied addition and subtraction of signed numbers. We have learned together what are the rules applied in addition and subtraction of signed numbers. And today we'll start talking about multiplication and division of signed numbers. The objectives of our lesson are: number 1, apply rules of multiplication of signed numbers. Number 2, apply rules of division of signed numbers. Number 3, apply the PEMDAS on a numerical expression. Of course, in it we have multiplication and division of signed numbers. First, we will recognize and apply the rules of multiplication of integers or signed numbers. When we talk about multiplication, of course, we are using the times. So to multiply two integers, these are the steps. So we should always follow these steps. We multiply first the sign of the first number times the sign of the second number. Then we multiply the first number by the second number. The following are the rules of multiplying the signs of signed numbers. So if we are multiplying a positive number with a positive number, the answer will be positive. A negative number with a negative number, the answer will also be positive. A positive number with a negative number, the answer will be negative. A negative number with a positive number, the answer will be negative. So as you can notice, if we are multiplying two signed numbers having the same signs, either positive or negative, the sign will always be positive. So the first rule says multiplying numbers having same signs is always positive. If we are multiplying numbers having different signs, it's always negative. Let's do some examples together. I am multiplying positive 3 times positive 5. So here we have times, then we apply this rule. First, we multiply the sign times the sign, then the number times the number. So I say positive times positive is positive, 3 times 5 is 15. Now negative 2 times negative 6. Negative times negative is positive, as this rule says, and 2 times 6 is 12. Negative 4 times 1. As you can see, 1 has no sign. We said before, any number with no sign, it is considered to be positive. So negative times positive is negative, and 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 21 times 0. Any number, positive or negative, multiplied by 0 always gives me 0, and never forget that 0 has no sign. 9 times 4, a positive number times a positive number, of course it's positive, and 9 times 4 is 36. Negative 7 times negative 3. Negative times negative is positive, as this rule says, and 3 times 7 or 7 times 3 is 21. Now 10 times negative 5. Positive times negative is negative, and 10 times 5 is 50. Let's do also exercises. Here in this table, we should multiply. We start from here. Negative 6 times negative 6. I start. Negative times negative is positive. 6 times 6 is 36. Now, negative 6 times 0, I said any number multiplied by 0 always gives me 0. Negative 6 times negative 2. Negative times negative is positive, and 6 times 2 is 12. Negative 6 times negative 0.5, negative times negative is positive, and 6 times 0.5 is a 3. Now 0 times negative 6, of course, is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times negative 2 is 0. 0 times negative 0.5 is 0. Now negative 2 times negative 6. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 6 is 12. Negative 2 times 0, of course, any number multiplied by 0 gives me 0. Negative 2 times negative 2, negative times negative is positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 2 times negative 0.5, negative times negative is positive, and 2 times 0.5 is 1. Negative 0.5 times negative 6, negative times negative is positive, and 0.5 times 6 is 3. Negative 0.5 times 0, any number multiplied by 0 always gives me 0. Negative 0.5 times negative 2, negative times negative is positive, and 0.5 times 2 is 1. Negative times negative is positive, and 0.5 times 0.5 is 0.25. Now we should calculate the following. Negative 2 times negative 6. First, sign times sign, then number times number. I start. Negative times negative is positive, and 2 times 6 is 12. 9 times negative 3. Of course, the sign of 9 is positive. So positive times negative is negative, and 9 times 3 is 27. Negative times positive is negative, and 6 times 5 is 30. Positive times positive is positive, and 8 times 3 is 24. In this way, we should follow the same order. Now we have three numbers. First, we multiply the sign by the sign by the sign. I say, negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive, so my answer is positive. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 7, of course, it's 70. 5.7 times negative 1. Positive times negative is negative, and 5.7 times 1 is 5.7. 9 times 3 times negative 5. Positive times positive is positive. Positive times negative, of course, it's negative. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 5, so it's negative 135. Minus 3 times 2 times 9. Negative times positive is negative. Times positive is negative. Now 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 9 is negative 54. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times positive is negative. Negative times negative is positive. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 5 is 90. 90 times 1 is 90. Negative times positive is negative. Negative times negative is positive. 0.4 times 4, 0.7 times 4 times 3, so it is 8.4. Now the question is, without computing, I don't want the answer in numbers. Just I want to state the sign. What will be the sign of the answer? So I simply say positive times positive, so of course the answer of the sign will be positive. Negative times positive, so of course the answer will be negative. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times negative, of course it's positive. Positive times positive is positive. Times positive, so my answer will be positive. Now negative times positive is negative. Times positive, so my answer is negative. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive, of course it's positive. Positive times positive is positive. Times negative, so my answer is negative. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times negative, it's positive. Now in exercise number 3, we should find the sign of the following numbers to be correct. I should multiply negative 4 by a. My answer should be positive. So what should be the sign of a to get a positive answer? Negative times what gives me a positive answer, so a should be negative. Negative 3 times what gives me a negative sign? Negative times positive, of course, is negative, so the sign of B should be positive. C times negative 0.75 times negative 3, the answer is positive. Let's multiply. Negative times negative is positive. So positive times what gives me positive? Of course, it's positive. Negative 3.2 times D times 9 is positive. First, I multiply. Negative times positive is negative. Negative times what should be the sign of D to be positive? It should be negative. So negative times negative is positive. Now negative 7 times negative 6.1 times 3 times negative 5 times E, the answer should be positive. I multiply all the signs. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times, what should be the sign of E to be positive? Of course, it's negative. Now 8 times 9.7 times F times negative 4, the answer should be negative. So what should be the sign of F? Positive times positive is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times what gives us negative? Of course, the sign of F should be positive. I want you to practice all these exercises, please, because as much as we practice, as much as we become more satisfied. Now, after discussing the multiplication, now I move to recognize and apply the rules of division of signed numbers. To divide two integers or signed number, here are the steps. First, we divide the sign by the sign, then the number by the number. If we are dividing signs, if we have a positive sign divided by a positive sign, my answer will be positive. A negative divided by a negative, my answer should be positive. A positive divided by negative, my answer should be negative. A negative divided by positive, my answer should be negative. These should be memorized. As examples, positive 20 divided by 5. First, positive by positive is positive. 20 by 5 is 4. Negative by negative is positive. 25 divided by 5, of course, it's 5. 30 divided by negative 10. Positive divided by negative is negative. 30 divided by 10 is a 3. Negative 48 over 8. It might be written as a division or as a fraction. It's the same. Here the sign is negative, here the sign is positive. So negative over positive is negative. 48 over 8 is 6. Negative 9 over negative 5. First, negative divided by negative is positive. 9 divided by 5, it stays 9 divided by 5. Let's perform the following. Negative 7 over 5. As I said, negative over positive is negative, and 7 divided by 5 is 1.4. Now, 1 divided by or 1 over negative 2. Positive by negative is negative. 1 over 2 is negative 0.5. 0 divided by negative 3. When we have 0 divided or over negative 3, it's always 0. Negative 13 over 10. First, negative divided by positive is negative. 13 over 10 is a decimal fraction. We change it into a decimal number, so it's negative 1.3. Also here, we should calculate as we did before. Negative by positive is negative. 32 divided by 4, of course, it's 8. Negative by negative is positive. 35 by 5, it's 7. Positive by positive is positive. 2 over 5 is 0.4. Positive by negative is negative. 3 over 10 is 0.3. Without computing, the words without computing are very important. We should not multiply or divide the numbers. We should just state the sign of the answers. I start. Positive times positive, of course, it's positive. Negative times positive, it's negative. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive is positive. Times positive, of course, it's positive. Negative times positive is negative. Times positive, negative. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive is positive. Positive times positive is positive. Times negative, it's negative. Negative times negative is positive. Times negative is negative. Times negative is positive. Positive over positive is positive. Negative over positive is negative. Positive over negative is negative. Negative over negative is positive. Here, we have minus 3 times minus 9.7 times minus 8 over minus 7 times 12. First, I should know what should be the sign of the numerator, then the sign of the denominator. Let's start with the numerator. Negative times negative is positive. Times negative, so the numerator is negative. In the denominator, negative times positive is negative, so we get negative over negative, then the answer is positive. Also here, negative times positive is negative over. Negative times negative is positive, so negative over positive, of course, it's negative. Here we should get the answer. We should complete the blanks. 27 equals minus 9 times what? First, I look at the answer, which is 27. Its sign is positive, so I say negative times what gives us positive? Of course, negative. And 9 times what gives us 27, so it's negative 3. Negative 15 times what gives 15? My answer should be positive. So negative times what gives me positive? Negative. 15 times what gives me 15? So it's negative 1. Negative 6 times what gives negative 36? The answer is negative. So negative times what gives negative? Of course, positive, and 6 is positive 6 gives me negative 36. 14 times what gives negative 14? First, I start. Here we have a negative answer. So positive times what gives us negative times negative. 14 times 1 gives us 14. Negative 71 times what gives 0? Of course, to get an answer 0, the number should be always multiplied by 0. Negative 72 is equal to which numbers multiplied together? Since the answer is negative, so one of my numbers should be negative, the other should be positive. What are the two numbers multiplied together that gives me 72? So I can write negative 8 times 9 or 8 times negative 9. 33 equals negative 11 times what? The answer should be positive, so negative times what gives me positive? Negative. 11 times what gives 33, so it's negative 3. 15 equals what times what? My answer should be positive. So here I have two choices. Either I multiply 3 times 5, or negative 3 times negative 5 also gives me 15. Which number multiplied by negative 1 gives 20? Since my answer is positive, so a negative multiplied by a negative gives positive, so it's negative 20. Which number multiplied by negative 2 gives 10? Of course, it's negative 5. 28 times what gives 0? Of course, 0. Negative 7 times what gives negative 70? It's 10. Now, 25 divided by what gives negative 5? Since the answer is negative, so positive over negative gives negative, and 25 over 5 is negative 5. Which number divided by minus 4 gives minus 7? So here we should divide a positive number over a negative number to give me negative. So 28 over negative 4 is negative 7. Negative 90 over negative 9. Negative over negative is positive, and 90 over 9 is 10. Negative 77 over what gives me negative 11? Since the answer is negative, so negative divided by positive is negative, so it's divided by 7. Which number divided by negative 6 to give me 6? Since the answer is positive, so I should divide a negative over a negative, so it's negative 36. This exercise is very important. Please practice it again. Now, how can we apply the rules of order of operations on a numerical expression, or what we call the PEMDAS? If in a numerical expression we found more than one operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, we should follow the rules of order of operations. Parenthesis first, exponent, multiply and divide, add and subtract. 22 plus 5 times 15 plus 2 minus 28 divided by 10 minus 6. Parentheses and parentheses, so we get their answer first. So we have to apply the order of operation. Here we have multiplication and division, so we do them in one step. Then we add and we subtract from left, as we learned before. These are many examples of how we apply the PEMDAS. You can solve these examples. They are all solved. You can solve them on a draft to practice as much as you can in applying the rules of order of operations on a numerical expression. Please apply these exercises because they are very important. Now, finally, these are to perform together. Also here we apply the order of operations in any expression that we have. Of course, you have the lecture, you have the video, you can apply these exercises using the PEMDAS. The last question we are solving together is answer by true or false. If the product is the answer of multiplication of two numbers is positive, then these two numbers are positive. This is false. Why? Because if we also multiply a negative by a negative, it also gives me positive. The product of two numbers is of opposite signs is negative. Of course, this is true because a negative times a positive is negative. A positive times a negative is negative. The product of two numbers is equal to the product of their opposites. Of course, this is false. Negative 8 divided by negative 5, negative over negative is positive, so this is false. Negative 9, negative 5 is equal to plus 45. Of course, this is false because here we have a negative 9 and a negative 5, so my answer will be negative and I add, so this is false. Negative 7 plus 7 times 2 is equal to 0. Here we apply the PEMDAS. We start 7 times 2 is 14. So negative 7 plus 14. So the answer is 7. So this is false. The product of a number by itself is positive. Of course, this is true. So if we multiply a positive by a positive, it's positive, and a negative by a negative is also positive. The product of 7 negative numbers is positive. When we are multiplying negative numbers, if their number is odd, then they will be negative. If their number is even, then they will be positive. So this is false. The next one, it's true because we are multiplying four negative numbers. So we are multiplying an even number of negative numbers. So it's true. Here we apply the order of operation and this is true. This was our lecture for this week. It's about multiplication and division of signed numbers. Please watch the video well. Take notes on your copybooks. I will always repeat this for you. Taking notes is very important on your copybooks. And until we meet, please, guys, take care of yourselves. Thank you.